My name is Fran, and with my friend John, I'm going to tell you a very ancient story. This story was first recorded thousands of years ago on an oblong sky blue tablet made of lapis lazuli. In this story, the word for god or goddess is Dingir. There are many Dingirs in the story, but its hero is a king who was 2 parts Dingir and 1 part a man. He was a king who saw into the deep, unravelled mysteries, and made known the unknown. He went on a long, difficult journey and found out all about the Great Flood. When he returned to his city, Uruk, he was exhausted, but at peace, and he had an account of his endeavours carved on a stone monument. This king of whom I speak rebuilt the wall around the city of Uruk. He also rebuilt the House of the Skies for Dingir Ishtar. Today, the top of Uruk's rebuilt city wall still sparkles in sunlight like bright new copper, and its base is as solid as ever. From the base of the wall, old stone steps provide a pathway to the top. If you climb these old stone steps and walk along the top of Uruk's city wall, you have a fine view of the new House of the Skies. This House of the Skies has not been bettered since it was rebuilt for Dingir Ishtar by the king of whom I speak. Its platform of kiln-fired bricks stands on foundations laid by the original 7 sages. It's by far the finest building in the Ayana, the sacred precinct which occupies half a square mile in the city of Uruk. Uruk's other buildings, its clay pits and its date groves, each occupy 1 square mile. Uruk's rebuilt wall surrounds a city of 3.5 square miles. Buried beneath Uruk's rebuilt city wall is a copper box with a bronze lock. Inside the copper box is an oblong sky blue tablet made of lapis lazuli. If the bronze lock is released and the copper lid is lifted, the lapis lazuli tablet can be removed. Written on the lapis lazuli tablet for everyone to read is the story of this king of whom I speak. It tells of all that he endured and all that he achieved. His name is Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh, king of Uruk, was the most kingly of kings. He was a hero with the energy of a rampaging wild bull, a leader of men who also shepherded them, a protective river bank and a flood wave smashing down stone walls. His father was Lugalbanda, the king of Uruk, who became a Dingir. His mother was Ninsun, the wild cow Dingir. On his long and difficult journey, he created new passes through mountains, dug wells on mountainsides, and crossed oceans. He journeyed to the edge of the world in his quest to find the immortal Utnapishtim, the faraway, and discover how to live forever. He rebuilt the Dingir houses lost in the Great Flood, and no other king could say, "I am king," as he did. He was born to be famous. 2 parts Dingir and 1 part a man. He was very tall, very broad, and perfectly proportioned. His rich black hair grew as thick as barley. He was the handsomest of men. The young Gilgamesh strode around Uruk with his head held very high. He was like a proud wild bull. Nobody could challenge him. Nobody could match his aggression. He amused himself playing games with the young people and bullied them. He kept sons from fathers and daughters from mothers. He crushed the young men and abused the young women, even if they were warriors' daughters or brides-to-be. Day after day and night after night, Gilgamesh's behavior worsened until people despairingly raised their hands to the skies and reached out to their Dingirs, lamenting. The Dingirs sympathized with the people and spoke to Anu, Dingir of the skies. Gilgamesh was born to be king, they said, but the people of Uruk are suffering from his tyranny and lamenting. He takes young men from their fathers and crushes them. He takes young women from their mothers and abuses them, even if they are warriors' daughters or brides-to-be. Is this how a king should behave? Rampaging? Not shepherding? Do something, Anu, please, before the skies are flooded with human tears. Anu heard this plea and turned to Mami, the creator of humans. Mami, you created humans to do the work of little Dingirs. Can you now create a doppelganger of Gilgamesh? Another hero? A man equal to Gilgamesh in strength and energy? Somebody who can balance him and bring peace to Uruk. Mami wetted her hands and picked up a lump of wet clay. She moulded the clay with Anu's words in mind. She placed the moulded clay far away in the wide open country and left it there.
In Uruk, Gilgamesh was asleep in his palace. When he awoke, he went to his mother, Dingir Ninsun. I had a dream last night, he said. Tell me, said Ninsun. I dreamed I was walking proudly with the young men of Uruk. The stars were shining brightly. One fell from the sky as a ball of rock and landed at my feet. I was attracted to it. I touched it. I tried to shift it, but couldn't because it was too heavy. Others crowded around to admire it and to kiss it as if it were a king. They helped me lift it, and I brought it to you. This dream, said Dingenin soon, means your equal now exists. He lives in the wide open country. You will love him and bring him to me, and I will treat him as your brother. I also dreamed I saw a copper axe, said Gilgamesh. It was lying on the ground in Uruk. Others jostled to see it. I picked it up. It looked strange, but I loved it. I stroked it and held it close to me as if it were a woman. I strapped it to my side. This dream, said Ninsun, means your friend is strong. He will be mighty in the land and save you many times. I am happy, said Gilgamesh, that Enlil, Dingir Enlil, has willed such a man to be my friend and guide me.
In the wide open country, a man as strong as Ninurta the warrior was walking with the gazelles. Like them, he wore no clothes. He had hair all over his naked body. The hair on his head was long and luxuriant, as thick as barley, like a woman's. He had no wife or children with him, no tribe or fellow citizens. The gazelles were his family, and he grazed with them. When the gazelles were thirsty, they went to a waterhole to drink alongside other animals. The wild man went with them. One day, the wild man was kneeling in a waterhole to drink. He looked up and saw the hunter Shangashu watching him from behind a tree. Shangashu was shocked by what he saw. He stood still and silent until the wild man and the gazelles had drunk their fill, then watched them walk away. The next day and the next, Shangashu waited and watched at the waterhole hidden nearby. 3 times he saw the wild man drink with the gazelles and other animals. Gloomy-faced and heavy-hearted, he went home. He looked like a traveler at the end of a long and difficult journey. What happened? Said his father. I have seen a wild man. He must be the mightiest in the land. He's as strong as something from the skies. He roams the wide open country, grazing with gazelles. At the waterhole, I watched him drink with the gazelles and other animals. I dared not approach him. He pulled up the traps I set and filled in the pits I dug, so animals slipped through my hands. He stops me catching anything and won't let me work as a hunter. My son, in Uruk, there's a man stronger than this wild man. Gilgamesh, too, is like something from the skies. Go to Uruk, present yourself to the king. Tell him what you saw, and he will tell you what to do. The wild man's strength can be overpowered by the special strength of a woman. Take with you to the waterhole a houri from the house of Ishtar. When she shows off her body, the wild man will go to her, and his gazelles will leave him forever. The hunter, Shangashu, heeded these words. He went to Uruk and presented himself to the king. He told Gilgamesh what he had told his father. Take the houri Shamkat with you to the waterhole, said Gilgamesh. When she shows off her body, the wild man will go to her, and his gazelles will leave him forever. The hunter went to the house of Ishtar and found Shamkat. Together they walked to the waterhole in the wide open country. It was a 3-day journey. When they reached the waterhole, they waited another 3 days before they saw the wild man.
Enkidu, said Shamkat. Shangashu said to Shamkat, show off your body. He will come to you, and his gazelles will leave him forever. Shamkat let her clothes fall to the ground and showed off her body. Enkidu went to her. She took in his scent, and he discovered the special power of a woman. With many lusty embraces, Enkidu stayed with Shamkat for 7 days and 7 nights. When he was tired out, he tried to return to his family of gazelles, but they turned away from him and ran off. He ran after them, but his legs crumpled. His gazelles had left him forever. He had lost his natural self, but gained self-awareness. He returned to Shamkat and sat at her feet. She gazed at him. You're so handsome, Enkidu. You're like a dingyar. Why do you roam with animals in the wide open country? Let me take you to the walled city of Uruk. There you can visit the houses of Dingyar Ishtar and Dingyar Anu in the Ayana. You can meet Gilgamesh, the king who lords it over the young people like a rampaging wild bull. Enkidu was pleased by Shamkat's words. He felt the need for a friend, and she was friendly. Yes, Shamkat, he said. Take me to the houses of Dingyar Ishtar and Dingyar Anu. I will meet Gilgamesh. I will challenge him and change things in Uruk. Yes, Enkidu, come to Uruk and let the people see you. In Uruk, the young men all wear sashes, and there are festivals every day. Drummers beat out the rhythms, houris bring out their beauty for all to see, and the old folk get out of bed to celebrate. But you, Enkidu, are not yet worldly wise. You will meet Gilgamesh, a man of both sorrow and joy. When you look into his face, you will see his manly radiance and feel his powerful charisma. He's stronger than you and rarely rests, so don't challenge him, Enkidu. Gilgamesh is loved by Dingyar Shamash, Dingyar Anu, Dingyar Elil, and Dingyar Ea, who expanded his mind. He had a dream about you. He dreamed a heavy rock fell from the sky into Uruk. He picked it up and carried it to his mother, Dingyar Ninsun. He dreamed he found a copper axe on the ground. He picked it up, placed it at his side, and took it to show Ninsun. She told him his dreams mean a mighty man will come to be his friend and guide him.
Enkidu was pleased by Shamkat's words and smiled. She picked up her clothes, put her cloak around Enkidu's shoulders, and with the rest clothed herself. She took Enkidu by the hand with a Dingyar touch and led him to a nearby shepherd's hut. The shepherds stopped tending their sheep in the sheepfold and gathered around Enkidu, marveling with curiosity. He is so like Gilgamesh, one said. He's shorter but bigger boned, another said. His body is built like a battlement wall, said another. He's Enkidu with the strength of something from the skies. The shepherds took Enkidu and Shamkat into their hut, sat them down, and offered them bread and beer. Enkidu was perplexed. He had stared at the bread and beer. He didn't know what to do. He had never eaten bread. He had never drunk beer. He was suckled on the milk of wild beasts, said one of the shepherds. He grazed with gazelles, said another. Shamkat spoke with Enkidu. Eat the bread, Enkidu. It's the food of human life. Drink the beer. It's a daily delight throughout the land. Enkidu tasted the bread. It was delicious. He liked it so much he ate bread until he was full. He tasted the beer. It was delicious. He liked it so much he drank 7 jarfuls. He became merry. His face glowed and he started to sing. The shepherds liked Enkidu's singing. They trimmed his beard, then combed and oiled his tangled hair. They gave him a tunic to wear and a weapon to carry. He put on the tunic and picked up the weapon. He looked like a warrior bridegroom. The day was ending and the older shepherds were falling asleep. I'll be your watchman tonight, said Enkidu. While the shepherds slept peacefully inside their hut, Enkidu stayed outside all night, protecting the sheep from the predators. He fought off lions and killed a wolf. He was the best ever strong man to keep watch. At dawn, a man looking worried hurried by, carrying a bag of provisions. Call him over, said Enkidu to Shamkat. Hey, mister, she called. The man stopped and came over. Where are you going in such a hurry? Asked Shamkat. I'm going to a wedding in Uruk, taking food in my bag for the feast. What's wrong? Why are you worried? At weddings in Uruk these days, Gilgamesh has the bride and makes her pregnant before the groom can. This is Gilgamesh's birthright granted by Dingir Anu. The words of the wedding guest angered Enkidu. I'm going to Uruk, he said. He led Shamkat from the shepherd's hut and set off on the 3-day journey to Uruk. When Enkidu entered the walled city, people crowded around. They marveled with curiosity. He's so like Gilgamesh, said one. He's shorter but bigger boned, said another. He was born in the open country, said another. He was suckled on the milk of wild animals, said one. He grazed with gazelles. People jostled to be near Enkidu. Some young men kissed his feet as if he were a baby. They were happy to have a champion who could challenge Gilgamesh. Musicians were playing, animals were being slaughtered for the wedding feast, and the bride was waiting in the wedding house. Gilgamesh appeared. He looked like a Dingir. Enkidu stood at the wedding house door. Gilgamesh approached full of lust. Enkidu blocked the way with his foot. Enraged, Gilgamesh grabbed Enkidu. Infuriated, Enkidu grabbed Gilgamesh. Like 2 huge bulls, they locked together in a wrestler's embrace, testing each other's strengths. Doors were smashed and walls were shaken as Gilgamesh and Enkidu fought in the streets of Uruk. Young men watched the fight with great excitement. In the end, it was Gilgamesh who pinned down Enkidu. With the knee of one leg raised and his foot flat on the ground. His anger went. He relaxed his grip and turned away. Then Enkidu spoke. You, Gilgamesh, are unique. Ninsun, the wild cow deer, gave birth to you as her son. You excel as a warrior, and Enlil destined you to be the king of Uruk. Me, I was born in the wide open country with hair all over my body, no tribe or fellow citizens, and no brother. Why are you weeping? Asked Gilgamesh. Enkidu answered, Every fiber of my body aches. Gilgamesh took Enkidu's hand, and they embraced as friends.